Not the Footy Show.
Wally Lewis leading the side out now, and listen to this, the first time he's come to Lake Park in the Queensland colours since leaving the Broncos, and this crowd saying welcome home to Wally Lewis in the biggest possible way. There he is, the Emperor of Lake Park, back in his beloved maroon jumper. Steve Jackson, the big number 10. You can see Larson there from North Sydney. Look at this crowd just loving every moment. They're besotted Queenslanders. Underdogs tonight, no doubt about that. Here comes New South Wales.
Benny Elias, of course, he smelt success last year, and he'll be out to keep that record intact. He's got a giant of a pack around him. He's got some exciting backs to use if the forwards can get a roll on as the reserves come through the gate. Benny already starting to gee them up. Locker Roach dressed up for a night in the office. And Laurie Daly back from injury tonight.
Jesse Hasler playing lock forward tonight for the Blues, and gee, we expect some from him. Cliffy Lyons, the man that's got to contain the king.
Well, that's the blue jumper. He's got the green one, and of course he wants to keep it. And here he is, the sensational centre from Cronulla, Andrew Eddinghausen, being compared these days with Reg Gasnier.
Queensland now going to the huddle. Mal Meninga, the giant of a man. Peter Jackson back in the jumper he loves so much. Look at Steve Jackson, the emotion on his face.
G'day everybody, welcome to episode 251 of Not the Footy Show. I'm Warrick Nicolson. I've got Robb on the line and our second episode of 2022. No surprises, it coincides with the state of origin teams for game number one, New South Wales and Queensland. Cocksmith, it's that time of year again.
It is, mate. Second episode, and we're 12. We're up to round 13 this weekend, so we've been pretty slack, to be honest. But we've kind of risen for the state of origin one team announcements. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, already having technical difficulties as we started this podcast, so on fire early. Again, apologies for the audio quality of me last week, although some people said it was an improvement. New South Wales, mate, they've gone with an interesting 17. There's some big name casualties through form / just Freddie selections. And of course, the big out, which is no Tommy Trbojevic. Queensland, no great surprise with what they've done with their team. They've picked some players in real hot form that are rookies. They've also made a big change at 9, and we'll get to the teams in just a second. But build up to Origin, mate. How do you rate the build up to Origin this year out of 10?
For me, I mean, look, I've been quite busy with work, so for me, it doesn't feel like Origin time. I'm not feeling the Origin love as much as I usually would. But maybe that's because I've been distracted. I'm not sure. I mean, you've probably got more of the finger on the pulse as far as that goes. So what's your thoughts?
The Tommy thing's a big gut punch for Origin. As a New South Welshman, you sort of look at what he brings to our side, and the fact that he's played, only a couple of games of first grade this year due to injuries, and then he's got hurt again, and he's out for the series and most likely the whole year. I kind of think that's taken a bit of the excitement level for a New South Welshman, or the New South Welshman like us, because of what he adds to our side. From a Queensland point of view, look, they got beaten last year fairly easily. All things considered, that when I was 2-1, but game 3, New South Wales can't say they put their best foot forward in that match. It just has a bit of a let's wait and see approach, I think, to this series. It's not can't wait for it, but it's also, it could be interesting, obviously, with no Trbojevic.
Yeah, look, I'm not discouraged by the lack of Trbojevic. I mean, it probably evens teams up a little bit more. I think Katoni Staggs is over the moon that Trbojevic is not going to be there. And I don't think that Jack Whiten's all that upset that Latrell's not there, to be perfectly honest. I mean, let's get to the nitty gritty. Players will keep their straight face and say, "Oh, I'm really sad he's not there. They get, when they get dropped from a team or when they're on the edge of making the team, they death ride the other guys. 100% they do. Don't think they don't. They sit at home on their couch, and when the bloke goes down and looks like he's going to be gone down for weeks, they're fist pumping, mate. You know, and even to the point of, I know of blokes that have watched games on TV and the team that they're trying to break into loses, and they celebrate because there's more of a chance of them getting into the team. So, yeah, I'm not worried about Trbojevic, mate. Yeah, it's sad that he's not there. Sad for him, and probably a little bit of a disruption for Freddie to pick the team with cohesion, etc., etc. But I find new faces exciting. I've been wanting Stags in that team for the last couple of years, as you know. He's in, he gets his opportunity, and I hope he makes the best of his opportunity. I'm a little weirded out by Crichton not being in the starting team because I think Whiten offers a little bit more of a utility role, but I'm sure we'll get to those.
Well, I just wanted to bring up, probably you pointed out some people are happy that Tommy got hurt. With all due respect,
I'm not happy, but I mean,
yeah, well,
not saddened.
Billy Slater's been doing handstands for the last.
Oh well, Billy be probably be happy about it. Yeah. Right.
As much as he would be going, I'd love to see him play. It's like my first series as coach. I don't have to worry about Trbojevic everywhere. It's a night. He's slept a lot better in the last 2 weeks, I'm sure, than the first Sunday, 6 months after getting the job. Let's go through the teams. Who do you want to go through first? Do you want to go through Queensland or New South Wales?
Yeah, let's go through Queensland first, mate.
Let's get the runners up for 2022 out of the way early. The team is Ponga, Cobbo, Holmes, Gagai, Coates, Munster, Cherry Evans. That's the back line. Full pack is Tino Fasua Malea'i. I still can't get it. I'm sorry, Tino. It just doesn't, there's something in the way my mouth works. It just can't get it out. Can you try and please get it out for me?
Yep, Tino F.
There we go.
Fasua Malea'i, isn't it? Fasua Malea'i.
Something just kicks in with my mouth and I just can't say it.
Yeah.
Apologies, mate. Ben Hunt, Papali'i, Capewell, Kafusi, and Ruben Cotter is the lock. The bench is Harry Grant, Lindsay Collins, Carrigan, and Nanai. The 18th man, Tom Dearden. And the extra players are Jai Arrow, Flagler, Tabu, Fidao, and Talagi. I am stoked beyond comprehension on 2 selections here from Queensland as a New South Welshman. One is thank you for overthinking it and thinking you're outsmarting New South Wales by putting Harry Grant on the bench, Billy Slater, because the longer that Harry Grant's on the bench is better for New South Wales. There's just no doubt in my mind whatsoever in regards to that. I'm sure the theory is first 20 minutes, take the sting out of the game, then put Harry in. Harry thrives on that contact. To me, that's the one of the great assets that he has. Is he once he's in the game, he's plugged in and then he works out how it all unfolds. Now you're asking him to come on after 20 minutes, and I don't know. I don't like that move for Queensland, but I love it for New South Wales' point of view.
Yeah, I don't think Harry shies away from the rough stuff. I know he's young, but he likes the contact. He likes the contest. So, and I would have thought that Hunt would make a better utility player off the bench and probably a bit more of an impact player off the bench. He's done it quite a few times for Queensland where he's come on, you know, after 30 or 50 minutes and made an impact and lets his presence known. But, you know, if Billy wants to do that, then, you know, it's his team. So, you know, you've got to let him do what he wants to do.
And the part of that becomes interesting from the interchange point of view is that you now have to eat up 2 interchanges to get Harry Grant to the game, because not only has it to come on, but if you want to use Ben Hunt again, there becomes another interchange at the end of the match. Whereas if you just wanted to bring Ben Hunt into the game later in the match, it's only 1 interchange. I'm surprised that he's going down this road. I would have thought in classic, you know, coach standards of deceiving their opposition, you name Harry at 9 for the whole week, and then an hour before kickoff, Ben Hunt starts.
Well, I think in his mind, I think in Slater's mind, he's thinking that Grant is really dangerous out of dummy half when he runs. You know, he's quick. He's may not be as quick as Damien Cook, but he's as elusive, and he loves that kind of straight line pop out of dummy half and go.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that he probably thinks he's going to bring him on to make that impact. But I would have had him. I would have had him starting. You know, if I was a Queensland coach, I think it would have been. I would rather Hunt on the bench to cover, in case Cherry's not having a great game, or Munster goes down, or Grant goes down, and But
or you want another ball player
we'll
on the
see.
field and you put him at lock, which was
That's right.
what they've done in the past.
And he can do it. Yeah.
Reuben Cotter at lock. Now, there's the hot players who come into Origin at different times. This guy is a worker. He's basically emerged from, as an extra in first grade to now he's starting at lock forward for Queensland. As a Blue, I'm stoked that he's there because we've now got a targeted attack. We can run at him. He might have great stats, and you know how I think about stats. They are a helpful tool in seeing how a player has impacted the game, but you can't live and die by them. He made 60-odd tackles the other night against Penrith. But I watched him pretty closely, and he didn't make an impact in that match at all. Penrith just picked him out and ran at him and ran at him and ran at him and moved down the field. And if I'm New South Wales, that's where I'm going. I'm going straight at Cotter. The second base play can come from that. He's not a big bloke. He's going to find Origin a massive step up. I love this selection because I would have been much more worried if they'd started Carrigan because he gains that little bit of extra ball playing, and obviously Tino there as well. But with Cotter there, open the door for Freddie to look at the strategy.
Yeah, look, he's not very big, mate. He's no bigger than I am, and he's playing front row for the Cowboys week to week, which I guess it's a different level to Origin, and they've got him playing lock. I'm probably with you a little bit. I'd be running, Paulo and Regan Campbell-Gillard at him because I don't think that he will. I don't think he'll handle the heat as well as he does in clubland. I would have rather Harrigan. There we go.
Billy.
Chief, come back, Chief.
Oh, okay.
The Chief.
I went straight to the ref. You went straight to the Newcastle legend.
It kind of says a lot about both of us. Carrigan, I think, would have been my starter as well. And look, I don't know who's available for Queensland at the moment. I'm amazed that Cotto is in the team. I know it for the last 4 or 5 weeks he's played really well, but we're round 12. I'm sure there's other Queenslanders that might feel a little miffed about that, but hey, it is what it is.
The big loser in this situation is Jai Arrow. He's the one that's had to make way effectively for Cotter.
And to be perfectly honest, at Origin level, Cotter's unproven and Arrow goes okay. So I don't think Arrow really has let Queensland down recently. I don't think
he did something off the field, didn't he, last year and got in the bad book?
I think he might have had some bird at the hotel.
Mind you, New South Wales welcomed Epi Coruscant back into the camp.
Yeah, they're 1-1. They're 1-1 at that level, So
hilarious. I think
young blokes will do what young.
Who else was available? That's the key question. Who else was available? Oh, we'll just pick the guys that stuffed us around last year because of the next best option. The thing with Cotter is, part of me goes, I think it's Billy Slater trying to find his Dallas Johnson. Remember how you always heard from Cam Smith and Cronk and those guys? Oh, the guy I always wanted to go into battle with was Dallas Johnson. You knew what you were getting. He was always cut guys down. Yeah. To me, it just feels like he's manufacturing this here. And I know that he is going to have a crack, and we're not Cotter bashing.
Oh, yeah, no, he will. He'll have a go. What
we're saying is that if I'm New South Wales, you've helped us work out where we're going to attack you in the line. I'm surprised that he's there. And it means Carrigan has to come on and play a bit more bash and barge. He can't sort of work into the game, which is what he's been doing really well for Brisbane this year. It's a surprising selection, but it could change come game day, knowing Queensland. Let's quickly just go through the back line. Cobbo has got in over Corey Oates and Murray Taulagi. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I like that. I like it. I think he's an Origin player.
Yeah, I like the fact they're gone with the hot hand here because he's playing great football right now. It's not just scoring a couple of tries here and there. He's running the ball extremely hard. He's getting out of his in goal. He's just up for it. And if you're ever going to pick a rookie, like now is the time you pick him. I think Corey Oates is a bit hard done by because I think he's playing really well. And I thought he might come in because Slater had played with him before at Origin level. But they've gone with Xavier Coates. What's your read on Xavier Coates?
Well, look, I probably would have gone Oates over Coates. I think Xavier Coates is a work in progress. You know, I think they say they're saying a lot of similar things about Coates and Cobbo. You know, that they remind everyone of GI or Latrell. I mean, Cobbo reminds me more of Latrell, and Coates reminds me of GI, but just how he moves. That's all. Not with what he's done so far. So I probably would have gone. Corey Oates over Xavier, but I can see what they're doing. I mean, they're building for the future. They're probably trying to bring in some young guys and let them, get experience. But I do feel for Corey Oates because I think he's been playing pretty well for Brisbane.
And his work rate is vastly superior to what Coates brings to the table. This is the area that I thought you might have seen this year with him at Melbourne. I didn't think Craig Bellamy would accept 10 hit-ups a game. But for some reason, Coates, he just doesn't got the appetite that other wingers do. And I wouldn't say it's a body shape thing. He's now big. He's a big boy now. And you just look at some of the stats at the end of games. And again, this is the thing with stats, you can over it. But the stuff out of your own end stats, they show up pretty obviously at the end of every game and the work you've done from your own end. And I can't see it from Coates at the moment. And they've obviously decided that, him on that right side contesting for the ball, it's a great theory, but you've got to kick to him. Like Melbourne, when they don't have Jerome Hughes in the team, that they never kick to him. And I just go, if you've got this asset, go after him, because New South Wales have clearly counted with Tupu in that regard. The centres, Holmes and Gagai, look, they were always going to be there. I don't think Gagai is a great defender. Yes, he lifts for Origin generally, but the player I'm more worried about if I'm New South Wales is Valentine Holmes, is playing great footy right now. Had a bit of a iffy game against the Panthers last week, but most of this season I think he's played really well, and he's the one that worries me in attack.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that concerns me about him is his speed. I haven't watched all of the Cowboys games. I've probably only watched 4 games of theirs this year, and I was at the Penrith game the other night. They were pretty unimpressive the other night. They only were allowed to do what Penrith let them do.
Yep.
So I can't really get a good read on Holmes, to be honest with you. But look, I guess when anyone's got that kind of speed and that experience, and he scored a ton of tries for Queensland over the years, albeit mostly on the wing. But yeah, he'll be dangerous. They want to keep an eye on him. You don't want to give him too much room to move.
Let's go to the spine of Queensland, because this is the big trump card for Slater and how he might want to play the game. My sense from his commentary, and I've listened to a bit of it of late because Fox have given me no choice with who they've put in charge of the big games on Fridays and Saturdays or Sundays. He wants to attack. I don't sense the safe Paul Green approach coming for Queensland. I really don't. I think Billy is going to be up tempo, move the ball, try and beat New South Wales with a bit of genuine attack. And this spine of Ponga, Munster, Cherry Evans, and then Hunt and Grant, is it better than what New South Wales have got?
No, I don't think so.
How far off is it though? That's.
I don't think it's far. I don't think it's far off. I mean, if you compare the 1679 from both teams, I think in each of those positions, apart from maybe 6, I think New South Wales has an edge of maybe half a point if you're rating them out of 10. I think Tedesco, just in form, is slightly better than Ponga, although I see Ponga probably has, in my mind, at least as much, maybe just a slightly bit more potential than Tedesco. That's what I believe.
Okay.
I think he's more of an athlete than Tedesco, but Tedesco makes up for it in many other areas. So I think at the moment on form, I think he's slightly better than Ponga, or maybe 1 or 2 points actually, probably better than Ponga, just because of the team Ponga's playing with. At 6, I think Munster's slightly better than Luai, although in the last couple of weeks, Luai has had some pretty good games, especially round 11. He played very well. And then the halfback, I think Cleary's better than Cherry Evans at the moment, but again, only probably half a point.
Yep.
And look, Hooker, Cook,
Coach Griffin, he's back.
Cook and I mean, who are we calling the 9 here? We're going to call
Grant's
Hunt the 9.
Let's be honest, Grant's the 9.
Well, I think in some ways they're kind of similar kind of players, in that they're both quick and they're both crafty, but I think Cook's got the runs on the board at the moment, slightly again. Yeah, and look, these are just my opinions. I'm a New South Welshman, but I watch a lot of games, so you know.
And the reason I throw that spine up is that it's got ball playing, it's got running, it's got movement around the ruck. It's really good. But what I am concerned about Slater and Queensland is I think their forward pack versus New South Wales, not quite in the same league. And as much as I like the Papali and Tino front row, I am not a huge fan of Capewell and Kaufusi in the back row, in terms of I don't think it's, right at the top of the tree here. Capewell, he's kind of one of those sort of glue guys. Actually, one of the best things Kurt Capewell does, and if you've watched Penrith play the last few years and then you watch Brisbane this year, he runs one of the best obstruction decoys there is in the business in front of his ball playing on the edge. He doesn't touch the ball a whole lot, but very few players do a better job at getting in front of his ball carrier. So he did it to Jerome Luai. He's doing it up there to Gamble and Reynolds up there for Brisbane. It's a skill. It's something that he's brought to Brisbane with him. So let's just see how good he is at doing it. That he's pretty good defensively, but he's not the big classic worker you sometimes get in the back row. And Kaufusi's kind of in that same category. He's the enforcer bloke for Melbourne. He's also not huge on the work rate, although this year I think he's been a bit stronger in that regard. But neither of them they're going to cut you open with their running game. And neither of them I think are that good defensively that you can't run at them. So for me, I look at this Queensland team and I go, the front row is pretty good. I have big questions on their back row. And then you go to their bench and does it do anything for you? Grant now?
Well, I think it's gonna what's gonna happen is I think Slater will change some positions around, especially the bench on game day or just before. I think you'll find, well, for me, if I was coaching, Carrigan would start.
Yep.
Nanai does a really good job for the Cowboys. I'm not sure it's going to equate in Origin though. I'm not sure it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and Origin is normally more of a simple game. It's more of a doing the little things right, and the simplicity is the magic of Origin. It's just normally a simple game of rugby league played hard and fast. So yeah. So tell me who their bench are again. I don't have it in front of me. They got Nanai, Carrigan,
Nanai.
Okay. Well, Collins will always do a job for you. He's a meat and potatoes guy.
Correct.
The rebel in me wants to say that I would start Collins and have Tino on the bench and let him come into the game a little later when it's softened up a bit. Carrigan would start. But what it does then is
there's no Fafita. Fafita didn't make it.
That's right. Yeah. But what it does then, if you pick the team that I'm suggesting, which is just, at least Collins and Carrigan starting, then you got yourself Cotter on the bench and Tino on the bench.
Tino and Grant.
I think it weakens the bench a little bit. And I think everyone likes to see a strong bench, Carrigan coming on will be good for them, but geez, he plays long, big minutes for the Broncos. I don't know if you need to think about replacing him. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens on the night. I don't think Queensland is as strong on paper as New South Wales. And New South Wales have also dropped a couple of pretty big guns.
We'll get to them in just a sec. But I agree there. The other player that probably would have been here if he'd been fit, Mo Fodawaker, who'd been on the bench for him a couple of times last year. And I think the other player that got dropped for them was Francis Molo. Didn't even make the squad this time. But
Fodawaker was pretty big last year. I mean,
I thought he was as well.
He was scary. He came on the field.
I think it's a high ankle. The other extras for Queensland did as 18th man. Look, I can't fault the form. He's played well. Whether he's your 18th man, I don't know. Just put him in your camp. Arrow there, Flegler, Tebow Fido, and Talangi are the extra players. The only player I would have thought maybe would have been 18th man would have been Arrow. If you're desperately, especially when you're carrying Grant and Hunt in the 17. But Queensland, it's a strong side. If you had to pinpoint one player that needs a massive series for Queensland for them to win, who is it?
Yeah. Well, it's either Cherry or Ponga, because Munster will have Munster is their scariest player. He plays different at Origin. He just plays with more intensity at Origin than he does at club level. And he's pretty intense at club level. Yeah. For me, Munster is their go-to guy, but it has to be part of an ensemble for that to work. And I believe it's probably Ponga. If not, then Cherry.
I'm with you. Ponga by a mile.
And that's what you have to have working. So if Ponga doesn't find any form in the first game, if there's no inkling that he's going to find some really good form, I'd let him go for the rest of the season and for the rest of the Origin season. And if he can't take up that place and not perform. Yeah. So I think the blowtorch is on him.
And it's an attack. He's pretty good under the high ball. I think he organises defences pretty well. But Kalen Ponga just has to get his hands on the ball as much as he can in this. Because the more he touches it, the more New South Wales have got to go, okay, we can't just focus on Munster and Cherry Evans. Like, we've got to worry about him actually creating on short sides. If you're Queensland and you're sitting there going, yeah, we have a good side, well, you could have a great side if Ponga really stands up. Let's go to New South Wales. The team is Tedesco, To'o, Staggs, Whiten, Tupu, Luai, Cleary, Haas, Cook, Paulo, Murray, Sims, and Yo. The bench is Stephen Crichton, Liam Martin, Campbell Gillard, Ryan Madison, and the 18th man is Nico Hines. There are two big omissions from the New South Wales side that has won 3 of the last 4 Origin series. There's no room for the Fox, so he's got plenty of time to go on his cruise. And there's also no Jake Trbojevic, who has been dropped, which to me is a bigger deal than Adokar getting dropped for mine. Because I would have thought that Jake's part of that DNA of that New South Wales side. Like, really, like, he'll do anything for the side. And for him to get dropped, I think it's a bigger story than Adokar, but evidently Twitter tells me otherwise.
Oh, look, I agree with you. I think Jake should have been in the squad.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would pick, 22 players and not think that Jake Trbojevic isn't in your top 22. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird one from the selectors on that. In fact, tell me who the other 5 players are, mate.
Yeah, so these are the guys that have effectively beaten Jake into a spot. Is Tyson Frizzell, who he didn't play last year from memory. He was injured the whole series. Jacob Safidi's in because Daniel is injured. Joseph Suwali and Api Coruscant. They're the extra 4 players with Nico Hines as that 8th man.
4. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Look, I find a couple of things weird. Angus Crichton's not in there.
No, he got dropped.
And neither is Jake Trbojevic.
Yeah.
How those two, aren't in your top 22.
And they were really good in their roles last year.
I know.
Off the bench, they were happy to play the minutes they were given. They weren't necessarily massive difference makers, but we didn't lose anything when they came on the field. And to me, that's your bench sometimes needs to be that. And we've gone with 2 twin towers from Parramatta instead.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, I think Campbell Gillard deserves his spot there. I'm not sure about Madison, to be perfectly honest. Geez, I'd have Jake in there, even if he doesn't strap a boot on, and he's in the 22 as like let's be honest, they brought Suwali in. He probably won't play a game.
Well, Suwali Campbell Graham.
And look, I think Suwali. I think when you look at the I think when you look at the trajectory of Suwali, I think he's been kissed on the you know what. He's been given an absolute rails run
balloon passage
into that whole domain. I mean, there was all the media about him when he shafted Souths, and chose the big bucks of Uncle Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to be perfectly honest with you, mate, I'm not saying he's crap. I don't think he's crap. I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to be a very good player. And obviously they know that. But at club form, I've seen him do one standout thing, and that was to the other day when he
who did he hit?
who was it he hit? He hit some big bloke.
Yeah.
And who was it? I'm trying to think who they played.
Penrith, same? Kick out. He hit kick out.
He hit kick out. That's right. He hit kick out.
Yeah.
And kick out, I thought it was probably pretty amusing, actually. And I think he tried to get square, but never got around to it. But anyway, so, yeah, there's a few omissions there, and I can see what Freddie's doing for the future and whatnot. But I can understand the Fox one. But Jake and Angus Crichton, to me, that's a bit strange. Who are our starting back rows again? We've got Liam Martin and who?
No, Liam Martin's on the bench with Campbell, Gillard and Madison. That's the bench forward rotation. So
okay, yep.
And Madison's been playing prop for Parramatta. He has off the bench.
Has he?
He's playing in the middle. He's not playing on an edge. He's
ex-Australian schoolboy halfback.
Yep.
True story.
Halfback, yep. The back row for New South Wales is pretty handy. It's Cam Murray, who will be playing next to Cleary again, I imagine, on the right. Tarek Sims will play on the left next to Luai, and then Isaiah Yeo plays in the middle.
I'm really glad Sims got in, and not because he's a Saints man. He's off next year, but I like his intensity. I like his enforcer kind of role in the team. And Yeo picks himself. He is at the moment in that new lock style of play, that link play. He is the best in the business.
And the guy who's combination, which is Murray, goes straight to the back row, like on the edge, and he'll be our best back row, best edge back row. He's a gun. He's such a great player. Him being healthy for this series, if we'd lost him and Trbojevic, that would have really hurt. Just quickly on the Fox, do you reckon he knew before he took the field yesterday that he wasn't playing for New South Wales?
I think Freddie's a pretty honourable bloke. I think Freddie would have called him and said, "Mate, we're going to go in a different direction for the first time." I think he would have got the call yesterday.
Yeah. Did you see the game at all or not?
I was at it. I was at the game.
At Belmore.
Yep.
Yeah. It didn't translate very well on the TV. Defensively has always been his issue, Cocksmith, and he runs out of the line and he misses assignments. And he did 2 of those yesterday in the first half, and you've just gone. If he needs a written explanation or a video tape of explanation why he's not playing Origin this year, that's it. I don't think it's just the Bulldogs thing.
I think Addo Carr's biggest deal this year is that he's overplaying. He's trying too hard. He's trying to make up for the shortfalls that are in that Canterbury squad. And I think Canterbury played all right yesterday, actually. I don't think they were too bad. But it's always hard to tell when you're at the game or when you do what I do. They
fought back well. They were very ordinary in the first half, but they fought back well in that game. I'll give them that.
I think Flanagan's getting better.
I don't.
I do. I think he's getting better. I'm not sure he's ever going to reach the lofty heights of playing for New South Wales, but what I'm saying is, as a club footballer. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah.
I think Addo Carr, his speed is a little bit of a loss. In open play,
speeds to Addo Carr is, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Tupu will do a job. We needed a little bit of height on the wings. I mean,
on the flip side,
5'10". So
you're saying about the speed. The biggest area we'll miss Addo Carr is support play. So he turns a half chance into a try. That's what he does.
Yep.
If I've got a big criticism of Daniel Tupu, it's exactly that. He is not a good support player. There is often times where the Roosters will make a half break up his side of the field and he's not even in the picture. Now, he does a heck of a lot more work in his own end. He's a really good getting out of his end sets guy. That's what he is. And he's fantastic in the air and he can finish. I completely endorse the selection ahead of Adokar. But the challenge is if he plays on the left edge with Whiten, our pace on the left edge is certainly not what it was in the last couple of series. We're slow. We are slow on the left edge, if that's our left edge.
You know, I talk about Whiten for a moment. I've got to say, I'm not all that happy. I'm not all that happy with that selection. He hasn't done much.
But he doesn't deserve it. There is a myth that he is playing great football right now. But he's not. He's not. He is not involved whatsoever. Does a couple of things here and there, and you go, "Oh, Jack White." But at the moment, he is a kicks in play and tackles guy, and that's not good.
Yeah, and I know you're a Raiders fan, and you can be critical, and you just you deserve the right to be critical. My issue is just kind of what Jack has done at Origin level, which is not a whole lot. Sometimes I feel like the game goes past him a little bit with Jack, and I'm a fan. I like the way he plays, and I really like it when he's firing for the Raiders. I think he's as you and I kind of take the mickey out of each other with Saints and the Raiders. I kind of like the Raiders. I'm definitely not a hater. And I like it when Jack's playing really well. But I look at that left side for New South Wales and not a lot bothers me about that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Staggs, I think, is potent, but in attack. But Jack, I don't think he's going to let you down in defence. No. But in attack, I'm just not feeling a whole lot. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that, I look silly after game one in saying that. And I'd be more than happy for him to score 3 tries. And I'm not saying that Crichton could do a whole lot better job, to be perfectly fair. Latrell's a big loss for New South Wales this year. He's got that X factor. He's great. He's great in attack. He's very, very good in defence. He's a big body. He's scary. So I think New South Wales will miss him. In saying that, though, I still think that New South Wales will get game one.
Just quickly on Whiten, I noticed something when I was watching yesterday, and it's a big thing that I don't think he can afford to do in Origin, and that's because of the guy he's replacing. He's effectively replacing the Trbojevic ability to roam if he had to. Okay, he's not the same player as Trbojevic. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that if Jack wants to, he can get in there and do the hard yards like Tommy did. He's the body shape. He's the guy. You're not going to get that from Staggs. Staggs, that's not his go. He's just not built that way to just hit up after hit up after hit up. That's not Staggs' go. But White needs to play that role for New South Wales because that's what Tommy did so well. Tommy wasn't just all icing on the cake. That's not what made Tommy great in that role. And I watched Jack a lot lately. But what really bugs me about him, and it was more prevalent when he had the rookie halfback next to him for Canberra, he lets the other person run everything for multiple sets in a row. Now, I can deal with it. One set, you're tired, you don't get involved. I watched yesterday, there were 2 sets in the end of the first half when Canberra were pretty much on top to a degree against Para. And he didn't touch the ball for 2 straight sets coming out of his own, coming out of their own. They weren't right out of their own end, but they were coming out of their own end. It was like he just waited for everybody else to do everything. Let them all do it. Let them all do it. Let them all do it. And part of me, when you look at a playmaker, and it's going to be a little bit similar in regards to his work rate for New South Wales, he can't afford not to be involved in every set in some respect for New South Wales at Origin level. That's the thing that I want to see from Whiten is I want him to see him on as much as I can because we're really going to miss that element that Tommy brought to the team. And I think Whiten's the most likely candidate now, our back line, to do that hard yard work that Tommy did.
I just wonder about Whiten because I don't know him. I've met him once, I think twice. But I wonder if he just needs to take more ownership on that Canberra Raiders team. I wonder, maybe that's an ongoing project with Ricky that that Jack probably needs to own the team as much as the halfback does.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's a shy dude or if he, he seems pretty out there. I don't know, but maybe he just needs to own the team a little bit more. He'll play a different role with New South Wales playing in the centres rather than the 6. But you're right. Turbo tends to go looking for work and tends to pop up, and he'll even make a forwards hit up if he needs to, or he takes his foot on and off the throttle depending on what the game's doing. And maybe Jack will do that. I'm not too sure.
The reason it's so important is that if you think about the last couple of seasons, but if Tommy's doing that and Toto's doing that and Teddy's doing that, when does Queensland have a break? They don't get a break. They don't have an easy couple of hit-ups in a row. Tupu brings that. But as I say, you lose Tommy out of that, and that just becomes you've got to deal with the Toto hard run and the Tedesco hard run. You need that extra person, which may be Tupu, but if it's Whiten as well, and even Staggs if he wants to. What I'm saying is that's one of the great things that Fittler injected in this team when he picked guys out of position, for me, is that it was like, well, they wanted to be involved regardless of what position they're playing. It's a big asset that comes to mind. Quickly, just on the playmaking, you say Luai's played well of late. Cleary's just back into what he needs to do. I wanted to bring something up about Cleary, and you would have noticed this the other night, because I know that Todd Payton was signalled out by Ivan Cleary in the presser. On what planet is Ivan Cleary that he thinks that Nathan Cleary can't get hit when he kicks the ball? Like, what is going on there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do it to him.
Yeah, well, I think I don't know if any coach likes their kicker getting hit, and Cleary has been getting hit quite a lot in kicks recently in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
I agree.
But not only him, there are other kickers that are getting hit because I've just noticed in the last few weeks shooting. The only round I didn't shoot this year was round 10, which was Magic round.
Yep.
If I start getting a lot of photos of guys getting hit in tackles, in kicks by a defender, then I'm thinking that the refs are letting it go a little bit. And look, I don't really have that much of an issue with it, other than it's a really grey area, because if you tackle a kicker when he's kicking and you tackle him in the legs, it's a penalty. It could be a sin bin, depending on how bad it is, or even a suspension. If you tackle a player who's catching a ball in midair, it's a penalty. And the main reason is so that someone doesn't get poleaxed while they're off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty similar situation with a kicker. When he kicks the ball, 9 times out of 10, he's off the ground. He can't defend himself. His feet aren't planted. So I'm not trying to water it down. You know how I am about. I don't want to see us playing netball or another non-contact sport. But I guess he's in one little bit's looking after his son. The other bit he's looking after his main attacking weapon, or his strategist. Anyway, his on-field general. I didn't see the press conference, to be honest.
The bugbear with it isn't so much that he. It's the fact that for the first 6 weeks that he played after he came back from his injury, he didn't get touched, and that's how Penrith play. That they are the masters at creating a couple of blokes off the play the ball that makes it really hard to get to the kicker. They do that really well. So if your team isn't actually making a concentrated effort out of your marker, there is just no way you get to the kicker. That's how Penrith set up. That's what they do. So now in the last couple of weeks, a couple of teams have done it to him. Melbourne did it to him. And all of a sudden, it's the worst thing in the world. And I'm like, that's the way you set up to play. Just because the other team's actually getting through your little defensive wall, I don't think you can. And I haven't seen a hit on Cleary that's like horrible.
Oh, no. I haven't seen it.
If I see something that I think's dodgy, I'll yell and scream about it because I don't like that element of foul play. But I don't know. This is something that translates into Origin that I think that stuff will get let go a little bit more. Now we go to that Origin arena. And I actually think it's a good thing for Cleary that he's been hit a couple of times, rather than the first time he gets hit is in Origin and it really puts him off his game. He's had to adjust to this, and that's why I brought it up. I think it's actually I think Nathan needed a little bit of a challenge because he pretty much dominated, even with one shoulder last year in the finals. And for him to, come out now, and I like it. I think it's a good thing for him, and he's definitely the linchpin in what New South Wales are going to do, because they're going to play very Penrith football, I reckon, this week.
Well, they've got enough Penrith players in there, mate.
Very good. Any other notes about the team? I'm happy with the forward pack for New South Wales. As I said, Crichton is the bench reserve. I probably would have gone with Hines if I had to try and cover multiple positions across the way. But the other downside of not having Jake Trebojevic is that who's playing 9 if Cook goes down?
Well, look, I think you got a couple of little options there. I think if Cook, let's say Cook blows his knee out in the first minute of the game or something big happens, I think you'd find Luai would probably go to 9.
Agree.
And then
Whiten
Crichton comes on for Whiten, but I think you're right. I think Hines could feel a little bit unlucky that a centre has taken that backs position. And let's be honest, if anyone else other than Whiten goes down, Whiten probably they shuffle around a little bit, Whiten could even probably fill in a 9 if he needed to. So have a running hooker. But I think you're right. I think the main issue for me would be if Cleary goes down. I know that Luai would take over, and Crichton would get on White. But I think that Hines would be maybe more of a fitting replacement for Cleary than Luai would, because your whole attack is just gone. Because you're going to have a centre, which I think Whiten is. You're going to have a centre playing 5'8". You're going to have a 5'8" playing halfback, and your whole potency of your back line is gone. Whereas if you bring Hines in for 7 for 7, Hines in for Cleary, then you still got a halfback running the show, with still an attacking weapon in Luai playing second receiver or left and right, whichever way it might be. So, I think that Hines would have been better as 14.
Do you reckon
that's a long way of answering that?
You know how when we were, when Origin was really getting underway for us as New South Welshmen, which was the early 90s, one of the things that Gus would often do is he'd pick 2 backs on his bench. What do you think about you drop one of Martin or Madison, probably Martin, and play Hines on your bench with Crichton and Campbell-Gillard? I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either. It doesn't. I'm not against that at all. Having 2 backs on the bench.
Minutes-wise, that last forward, and I've been banging on this for years, but that last forward might play 10 minutes in the whole Origin game, or 15.
Yeah. Especially when you've already got someone like Whiten on the field that could play edge back row. It's one positional change.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to go from centre to halfback.
And you also got your 13 who plays 80, and you've got Murray who has he plays only sort of 70 at lock, but on the edge he's going to be fine. Sims can play 80. It's to create that extra flexibility that you've said we probably don't have. Maybe you could have done that. They're the teams, everybody. That's pretty much the show. I cannot guarantee that we'll do a podcast before the actual game begins. So, Cocksmith, let's go with some predictions just off the head right now.
Well, as it stands right now with those squads, and no injuries happen to either team, I'd say New South Wales by 10.
Score? Just give me a 10 margin.
I would say 22-12.
Gee, Cleary missing a kick, is he?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm only just slightly different. I got 24-12.
Okay.
For New South Wales. And man of the match?
Man of the match will be Yo.
Ooh, Yo. I'll go Nathan. Easy. Well, there you go, everybody. That's episode 251. I've been Warrick Nicolson. That's been Rob Cox. Glad to be back on your speakers for at least once every 6 weeks, as seems to be the case for 2022. The there's plenty to talk about in regards to how the NRL is being done right now. Just as a passing comment to leave in your ears till the next time we speak. Cocksmith, how much of a farce is the NRL when they change the obstruction decoy rule after 11 rounds of a competition? What is going on? How can they honestly sit there and think this is a good decision when they've had games decided by this already?
Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. The weirdest one for me was the Knights game in round 11, Knights and Broncos
with Martin.
Yep. When they said that it wasn't behind the other player
because he passed straight away. He took a step.
He didn't pass straight away. And when he passed, he was directly behind the player in front of him.
Yep.
It was a classic shepherd.
Yep.
The defense was impeded. There was a defender there, and they come out and they tried, the bunker tried, the referee tried to gaslight the player by saying that he didn't run behind the player. He passed before. No, he didn't. So that to me was a really strange one. And
they've doubled down. They've doubled down on this new interpretation, almost as a way of saying, oh, we didn't get that wrong. So from now on, the rule is, and this is the crux of the rule. Before, if you ran into the line and stopped, ball over Red Rover, regardless of where the ball goes. They just called penalty. That's what it is. Because you denied them the opportunity to make a tackle. Now, it's okay if you run into the line and stop, as long as you don't bowl the guy over. That's fine. Just as long as you get in the way, that's sweet, no dramas. And then they have now decided that to make that even more fair, if you get obstructed and the guy runs into you, if you're just a little bit too far away to stop the tackle, it's okay and it's a try because you're not in the game anymore. They've got to have been double figures of those tries that have been denied for less than that already this season. There was one in the Newcastle Canterbury game where Daniel Saifiti scored. Did you see this? It was on a Thursday night where Josh Jackson was near the ball. There's Matt Croker he'd run through the line earlier on the start of the play, and he's like passive. He's not even in the game. And the ball came back across the field. Daniel Saifiti ran a line, hit a gap, ran through the gap, runs past Croker. So you can't see everybody, but effectively he runs past Croker, who'd been back on the line. And Josh Jackson is in the vicinity, but Josh Jackson doesn't even see Croker next to him. Looks as Saifiti runs through the gap and sort of just goes, oh, I can't get you. All right. Saifiti runs through and scores. The bunker clearly said in the overhead, they said Matt Croker denies Josh Jackson the opportunity to make the tackle. Josh Jackson doesn't even know Matt Croker is there. He doesn't even make an attempt, like any movement of any sort towards trying to tackle Saifiti. But because he was in between them, they just said it was a no try. And now we're seeing these tries being given in the last 2 rounds where these are deliberate motions from teams creating the block plays. And now it's open season. So thank you, Graham Annesley. We really appreciate it. We can't wait for Origin when you actually have to make a hard decision to see whether they stick with this new interpretation. But it is just farcical that those.
The weird one for me is the lottery of the short pass to the lead runner, right? So if you get a lead runner and a trailing runner, and let's just say the lead runner, everything is happening really close to the defensive line, and the lead runner doesn't get the ball, but might have got the ball 1/10 of a second before he hit the defender, then the lottery is the defender impeded, or did the defender tackle him without the ball?
Yeah. Who's
going to get the penalty? Hold on, let's flip a coin, because that's what it feels like when you're watching it on TV and you see, an A defender get barreled over, or actually not barreled over. Let's say he grabs at the guy that is just about to get the ball, but the actual halfback, or the guy running the ball with the ball, is so deceptive and so good that he doesn't pass it to him. He passes it out to a trailing runner behind him. Is it a defensive? Some will say that's a defensive. You made a choice, defensive choice. Others will say, well, what are you meant to do? The guy is right in your face. You're not going to about to let him receive the ball and score, or knock you over right on your try line and score over the top of you. So you just never know what's going to happen.
And then
it could
be
be
back in. This is the bit that bugs you as a fan. It's not that they were calling things pretty much black and white for the first turnarounds. You can deal with that because at least you go, that's what they did last time. Yeah, so be it.
Yep.
Now they've gone into the whole interpretation thing, all off the back of that Tamari Martin decision, where they were too stubborn to say, "No, we got it wrong." And that's the crux of Annesley, is head of football. He just, for some reason, he can't improve what we're doing. He kind of just has to back up that they didn't get it wrong. We didn't get it wrong. Well, you've stuffed things up as they're going forward. And if Origin's decided by one of these, we're going to have the Justin Hodges try from a bunch of years ago happen all over again.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to revert to, as per usual, there'll be 7 penalties all up and probably 5 restarts. We're going to have pretty low referee input, because I think the powers that be at the NRL realise that the less input from the referees, the happier the fans are.
Yeah.
After Origin for round 15, 16, whatever, it'll get chucked out again, and the referee will be blowing the pee out of his whistle, because for some reason they think people turn up to watch the referees.
Well, I'm just quickly looking. There's no announcement of who the ref is. I think it's tomorrow they announce who the referee is, but
I'll tell you who it's going to be.
Is Atkins going to get the job ahead of Sutton, or is Jerry back in?
No way. No way is Grant Atkins, who I think is the game's best referee at the moment, going to get the nod. No way, right?
And Atkins' only hope is in game 1. He needs to be in there game 1. Otherwise, I'll just run with Jerry for the next 3 games.
Well, he'll be, mate. Put your house on it. Was
all right. Well, everybody, we'll see if Cogsmith is correct. I'm holding out hope that Atkins might get the job, but we shall see. Mate, it's been a pleasure. We've talked Origin for an hour. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed that. You can get us
hopefully
at the various places online. And if you want to give us a review, we mostly appreciate that. In the meantime, Cogsmith, anything last to say? It doesn't have to be Pepsi. Anything else you wanted to say before we go?
No, mate, I think I'm pretty good. I've got to get back to doing some editing and go and have a look at my laptop that's out there crunching some numbers. So, no, I've got nothing much more to say, mate, other than are the Dragons and the Raiders on the same points?
No, you're ahead.
Oh.
But if you lose and we win, we've got a better differential, so we'll go ahead of you. So that's nice.
Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows what'll happen, mate? I think they're both they're like
we're in 9th and 10th. To be fair, we're in 9th and 10th. We're going so mediocrely. It's great.
I don't think we're going any higher than that. Neither of us, mate. 9th or 10th. I think that's where it's going to about end. I don't know which one's going to be in front come round 25. But
I don't think the Tigers are much of a threat for the 9th or 10th this year, though, to be fair. So we're all good.
Well, and they're saying that Madge may have coached his last game too. So maybe
let's not open that Pandora's box again. Look, everybody, we'll speak to you next time on The Footy Show. Take us out, Cogsmith.
Catch you later, mate. Pepsi.
Not The Footy Show.
You've been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.